Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a minute. Welcome back to Box Football. I'm a little bit dejected. I can't lie to you. I know we've not come to review the Champions League fixtures this week for the first leg of those games, but I did, while I had a moment of spare time, I did just want to come on here and react very quickly to the Roma versus Bayer Leverkusen game. Um, Selfishly, it's my team, so I want to talk about my team, even though the result was not one that I was hoping for. But I think more importantly, especially for you guys as the viewers, giving my opinion and a little bit more analysis, I guess, on Bayer Leverkusen and how they look and how they've come to get these ridiculous records that they're going to get. And I think they said in commentary, for a football club that's won like two trophies over their entire history, they may reach a point where they win three this season, which is insane, absolutely insane. And as trebles go, you've got to say it's very impressive, especially seeing as you go undefeated with very few draws in there as well. Um, First of all, a couple of things I just want to acknowledge and take away from the game. You're probably going to see a lot of headlines or a lot of things on social media about how Bayer Leverkusen just absolutely dominated the game and it could have been five or it could have been six. I really don't think that is true. I really don't think that's accurate. They had their chances. Roma had their chances. Romelu Lukaku had a header which he would usually bury that hit the crossbar. Tammy Abraham in like the last few minutes had a shot from a yard away that he somehow managed to miss. Bayer Leverkusen's first goal was from a mistake from the worst player on the pitch, who I never want to see play for Roma again in Rick Karsdorp. Every time he touched the ball, every time he had a defensive action, let the entire team down. So they were lucky to be ahead, very lucky to be ahead. It's not that they weren't creating opportunities; they weren't creating good quality opportunities, in my opinion. They had one or two, and again, it's not up to them whether their opponents make mistakes or not. So credit where credit's due. They punished the team for making mistakes, but you probably will get a narrative along how Bayer Leverkusen could have won 6-0 and completely dominated the game. I try and not do the whole stats merchant thing all the time, but I'll give you a couple of like the main stats. I'm not going to go super in depth, um, net XG and all this kind of nonsense. Yeah, Bayer Leverkusen had 19 shots on the goal, but it was only 2-0. One of those shots was an error from Rick Karsdorp as well. Only four of their 19 shots were on target. Not brilliant in that respect, I wouldn't say. In terms of conversion, really not firing on all cylinders. Roma, eight shots, two on target. Roma had more possession. Roma played more passes. Roma had a better passing accuracy, more corners, less fouls. There's a number of metrics where Roma were far better than Bayer Leverkusen in this game. The difficulty in the game was trying to play through how Xabi Alonso had set up. It's a very common thing, of course, at the top level of football, but you kind of assign players who you're happy having the ball at their feet. Yeah, letting Chris Smalling having the ball at his feet is kind of absolutely fine. Gianluca Mancini can play a pass and can do things from centre back, but again, they're pretty happy letting him have the ball. Rick Karsdorp offered absolutely nothing. Spinazzola only really woke up at about the 70-minute mark to make any sort of proper contribution in the game in an attacking sense as well. Um, Paredes, Pellegrini not showing for the ball very well at all. Dybala having to come very deep to even involve himself in the game. Romelu Lukaku up top, left isolated, although managed to get Jonathan Tah yellow carded within the first, I think, 20 minutes or so. But then he wasn't massively an outlet there as well. El Shaarawy showed some positives, but was kind of missing out. But I'm talking about all of this from a Roma perspective. Bayer Leverkusen were the reason that Roma couldn't do these things. The shape, the false nine with Florian Wirtz going in there, Frimpong, very dangerous, constant pressing, high pressure, but um critical, quite thoughtful pressing as well. Not just running after a lost cause and then Roma able to play around. They did it in little packs of three, little packs of four, where they were able to close down, create opportunities for themselves in there as well. The overload in midfield with the with the wing backs, with the false nine coming deep, with a winger coming in and then a fullback going around and stuff. It's very, very well put together by Xabi Alonso, and this is a very, very high quality football team. Um, I don't think Roma have much of a chance in Germany in the second leg. I really don't. We didn't even see Boniface play at all today. I think they probably would have had a slightly better and more potent goal threat. I wonder maybe whether they would have counteracted what Roma were potentially attempting to do throughout as well. Um, yeah, disappointing, little dejected, uh, not feeling great about the return leg. And again, I don't know if you guys have this as fans, but sometimes you watch your team play and there's a lot of optimism, and some of the kind of thoughts and opinions that you have kind of fade away into the background because things are going well and maybe the team are playing well. As I'm watching that performance, I'm looking at somebody like Chris Smalling and thinking, man, I never want you to play for this football team again. I'm looking at Rick Karsdorp and going, man, I never want you to play for this football team again. Lukaku at times was dangerous, but I'm thinking, man, you get paid a lot of money. I don't know if you're necessarily worth the money that you get paid, or we'd have to fork out at your age to get you in here and get you back here permanently. Looking at somebody like El Shaarawy, who's been absolutely fantastic in Serie A and just a real servant to the game within Italian football, playing left wing for a bit, but then coming back to right wing back by basically the end of the game. I don't love that either. Spinazzola, again, love watching him play when he's in full flight, but we didn't really see that too much until it was kind of real crunch time and it was kind of past the point where he should have cared. Again, with his age, him coming out of contract in the summer, some of the subs that come on, I just, again, it was very, very much one of those, games where you start putting your thinking cap on for about 3 years in the future. Usually you do that out of a sense of trying to get some sort of optimism about your team going forward. I do think Roma will make top five in Serie A. I do think Roma will get Champions League football next year. I do think that Roma will be better. We'll have a good transfer window. Might be able to attract a couple of free agents and maybe some guys on some half decent deals, or maybe a couple of players that certain teams overpaid for, but then they haven't had their best spell, maybe stealing a couple of players from Premier League teams, that kind of thing. Um, but when you start, like I said, when you start thinking like that, it is quite a negative way to think. Bayer Leverkusen were faster, more cutting, covered a lot of ground, and the defensive work rate, even until the end of the game, was absolutely terrific. It really is a pleasure to watch them play. And as much as I think there are maybe two or three very, very talented individuals in that team, I'm not super, super impressed with the goalkeeper. Both centre backs are fine, but I'm not blown away. Ronaldo again is fine, but I'm not blown away. Granit Xhaka, not blown away. The guy, and it was one hell of a hit for the second goal. I can't even remember the guy's name. Not blown away. This is coaching. These performances is the result of fantastic coaching. Florian Wirtz is a fantastic player and will be absolutely lighting up Champions Leagues, Bundesligas, Premier Leagues, La Ligas, wherever he chooses to play his football internationally. He's going to be lighting it up for the next 10, 15 years. Mark my words, guy's unbelievable talent. Frimpong, as long as he has that burst of acceleration that he's got in there, he's going to be lighting things up for a while too. It's on kind of Kylian Mbappe levels in terms of acceleration from Frimpong. Really, truly amazing, amazing play. Um, but it's coaching, the composure from the defenders to playing in tight areas, one and two touch, snappy football, first touch football around the corner, playing, moving, receiving it back, playing again, playing into space to have somebody to run into it, somebody going for the back post, somebody getting a pullback when somebody hits the byline. This is all just fantastic coaching. And I think, again, if we've not given Xabi Alonso his flowers with his Bayer Leverkusen team enough, I think this is just another reminder of what a fantastic job he's doing there. Bayer Leverkusen will sell a couple of players, have loads of money, and then potentially buy a couple of, early 20s, late teens kinds of players who are real up and comers who are going to want to go to that team. And again, I think at this point, even though Bayern Munich do exist, you have to say Bayer Leverkusen are probably going to be the betting favourite for the Bundesliga next year, and it would certainly be my pick the way that they've played. To go away from home to a team like Roma, you know the way that Roma want to play, and Roma got away with a fair amount today. So saw Gianluca Mancini a few shoves, few kind of little stamps, few little elbows, which is obviously what he's kind of known for, his bread and butter. And he kind of got away with a fair amount today. Um, but they persevered and they've come through. Champions League. This is kind of potentially the bigger conversation going forward for this Bayer Leverkusen team too. Are we in a position potentially where we're looking at? I mean, are we getting to a stage where it's not too crazy to say the favourites maybe for the Champions League next year? If they can keep hold of a couple of guys, if they can make certain improvements in certain areas, could these guys be the favourites for the Champions League next year? Real Madrid are going to exist. They're going to have Kylian Mbappe added to that already insane squad, right? But we saw that they kind of got held by Bayern Munich recently, and Bayer Leverkusen have been head and shoulders above Bayern Munich. Man City have been great, but they're not in the competition anymore. And I know the Europa League and Champions League are obviously separated for those teams this year. But when we see Bayer Leverkusen make the step up into the Champions League, I think you're going to have to say that they're a top three, top four favourite going into that competition. You have to. Um, there's not really too much else I want to touch on. The Roma team looked tired. The midfield looked really tired. Cristante, Paredes, Pellegrini looked really tired. Again, I talked about Dybala briefly. You have to have stuff around you to make stuff like that work, and he had absolutely nothing going on. Couple of free kicks that maybe could have gone better. But yeah, I do want to make a very clear point here. No matter what you read, this was not one-way traffic in this game. Roma could have very easily scored two or three goals in there. Leverkusen also could have scored two or three, maybe more goals in there as well, but they didn't. Roma had, yeah, crossbars, missed chances from a yard out, all this kind of stuff. So again, little dejected, little downbeat, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on the Roma by Leverkusen game. And hey, stranger things have happened. The Greek god in Rome, Roma have risen from their ruins. That wasn't too long ago now. Can Roma go to Germany, pull off an upset? I'm going to say they can, but I don't think they, but I don't think they will. Um, guys, thank you very much for listening to me drone on. Hopefully James and I will be back with you reacting to the Champions League next week. Both got a lot on at the moment, super busy schedules between the two of us. Hit a like on the video if you've liked listening to me ramble on here. Drop a comment. Did you watch the game or were you focused on Chelsea Spurs? Were you focused on the Villa game, which I think ended up having 6 goals in it as well? Were you focused on Marseille Atalanta? Um, Let me know in the comment section. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Me and James really appreciate the support. But until next time, I'll see you.